Hi guys, welcome back. Let's continue with part 2 of our lesson on perfect markets. In the previous lesson, I emphasized the fact that the perfect competitor is only able to realize economic profits in the short run. But what will happen in the long run? Now, the problem is that once a business is earning an economic profit, it's an invitation to other producers to also enter the market because they are also looking for an opportunity to make a profit. Now, in the long run, when other businesses start entering into the market, this means that the supply curve will shift to the right. This also means that there is a decrease in the price of the product, and there is also an increase in the quantity of the product that is being supplied. Now, the individual producer will be forced to sell its product at a lower price, this price 2 over here. He will have to adjust his production methods and become more efficient. He has to utilize his resources better, and in this process, he will have to look for methods to decrease his production cost. Because as you will see, currently his cost is more than the price he is supposed to sell the product for. So when he applies these measures, it will decrease his LAC curve. In other words, it will shift downwards. Your LMC curve, long run marginal cost curve, will also move slightly, but the shape stays the same. So there is the long-term equilibrium for the perfect market. What happens is that the business is still producing at the profit maximization point. This is the point over here. This is where your long-run marginal cost curve intersects with your long-run marginal revenue curve. Still, like I mentioned, this is your profit maximization point. Because this business was able to use his resources more efficiently, he could increase the quantity that he produced as well as decrease the cost of his production. He is thus going to supply over here. And you will see now that he is only making a normal profit because his revenue that he earns at this point, his profit maximization point, is exactly equal to the cost of production at his profit maximization point. Now you might ask, how do you distinguish between the different profits made by the perfect competitor? Now, first of all, let's look at the definitions. An economic profit is defined as the additional profit earned by a firm over and above what is needed to keep the entrepreneur in business. We always start at exactly the same point when we answer a question like this. The most important part of any curve is where your MC curve, your Knight curve, intersects with your MR curve. Now for your perfect competitor, this is the horizontal line over here. So the most important part is where they intersect. There we go. Always remains the same. This is known as the profit maximization point. Any firm wishes to maximize their profits at any given time. This is the quantity that they are willing to sell and produce at. Next, we have to look at the position of our AC curve in relation to our AR curve. What our cost is in relationship with our revenue curve. Now, this is common sense, or it is supposed to be. If at this point, remember, the business only functions at this specific point, at this quantity, you will see that I am lying on my revenue curve. Average revenue at this point is more than average cost at this point. I am receiving P1, let's pretend that's 10 rands, and at this quantity, it costs me 5 rand to produce. So the difference between P1 and P2 is known as my economic profit. Next, our normal profit. Remember, this is the long-term equilibrium for your perfect competitor. A normal profit is the minimum earnings that the entrepreneur would like to make in order for him to stay in this industry. Now, a normal profit is when the average revenue that you will receive selling your product is equal to your implicit and your explicit cost. Now, you're probably going to say, wait. What is implicit cost? Now, implicit cost is basically your opportunity cost. Your entrepreneur, if he did not enter into this venture, he would have earned his money elsewhere, either investing his money, his capital, in a fixed account somewhere with some or other bank, or maybe he would have bought shares on the JSE in another company, or he would have just worked and earned a salary. Now, he gave up all of those options in order to go for this business venture. So he wants at least that amount of money to remain in this business. And that is what we call our implicit cost. Explicit costs represent the actual production costs of the business. Therefore, the owner would not have been better off doing something else. He is receiving the minimum return that he is satisfied with, and he is able to cover his production cost. So over here, at this point, the revenue that he earns on the revenue curve is exactly equal to his average cost curve. And remember, average cost includes implicit as well as explicit cost. Still, like I mentioned, the most important part for any business is where the MC curve intersects with the MR curve, the profit maximization point. This is the quantity that the business is going to produce, that it is going to sell, the revenue it's going to make, and the cost that it incurs to produce these things. Last but not least, how do you know when you're making a loss? Start at exactly the same point, where your marginal cost curve intersects with your marginal revenue curve. In this case, this is the loss minimizing point. If the business produces here, they're going to make the least amount of loss, if that makes sense. The problem is over here that at this exact quantity, moving up straight to your AC curve, your cost is more than the revenue. You are selling your product for 10 rand, but at this quantity, it is costing you 12 rand to produce. And this area over here then represents your loss. We also refer to it as an economic loss. Now, the firm will only be able to operate at a loss in the short run. There isn't any business on the face of this earth that will be able to continue indefinitely making a loss. And therefore, this producer will eventually leave the market. So let's quickly do a summary of all of this. How do we compare the market structures? Very important for you to know, for the perfect market, there are many producers of a product that is homogeneous. Homogeneous just means it is indistinguishable from any other product. Like I said with my peppers, you don't care where you bought it. A pepper is a pepper is a pepper. Your entry or exit from the market is free or easy. There are no barriers. Anybody can enter at any time. And then if you make a loss or if you feel that this is not for you, you can leave at any time as well. Unfortunately, in this perfect market structure, you have no control over your price. These producers are known as price takers. There is complete information available to buyers and sellers. Anybody can at any time determine the market price of the specific product, and therefore buyers know exactly what to charge and to pay, and sellers know exactly what to charge. Your demand curve is horizontal or perfectly elastic. That means the business can continue to sell any quantity of its product as long as it charges the market price. Usually, these businesses make a normal profit in the long run. That is the long run equilibrium, a normal profit. The decision making, they are price takers. They have to sell their product at the prevailing market price. They don't make any decisions in this regard. Collusion is not possible for this type of market because there are just too many producers. It is impossible for them to come together and do price fixing. When it comes to your productive and technical efficiency, your markets have to continuously find ways to be efficient, like I showed you in that first slide. If the producer does not use his resources effectively and efficiently, he is not going to be able to produce the goods at a price that will cover his costs. Allocative efficiency means that you have to actually produce what the consumer wants. If you don't, you're going to lose all of your market share. And then perfect examples of this include agriculture, anything that we produce in agriculture, gold, maize, etc. So please go and check out the activities that I loaded onto the classroom for you. And remember, ask if you have questions. There is one short topic left when it comes to competition policies, and I will upload that for you later this week. Good luck.